Hi guys, welcome back. Now, back in the early part of this year, I was at the British Shooting Show, and like you do, having a wander around, I come across a stand called Guide SenSmart. Now, never had anything to do with them, so I thought I'd go and have a look at their products, and they had some very good day and night digital scopes and thermal scopes. So I got chatting to them about bits and pieces, different things that they do, and I said, you know, if you ever want me to do a product review, let us know, and I'll be more than happy. Anyway, fast forward sort of 3 months or so, and they have very kindly sent me down this. Now, this is a TU431 thermal rifle scope with a built-in laser rangefinder. It's got a 400 by 300 sensor in it. What I love about it is the fact that it looks like a traditional rifle scope, albeit the LRF on the top. So, having a quick play around with it indoors, going through the menu and what have you, one thing that I've noticed with it is it does have the freeze frame option on it when it comes to zeroing, which is brilliant. I think that is such a, not necessarily a necessity, but definitely an advantage when it comes to zeroing a rifle scope. One thing I didn't like about it, or I don't like about it, is the front objective ring. That is way too stiff. Way too stiff. Now, I have got in contact with Guide and told them about it. They are aware of it. They are going to be sorting it out, I assume, for future products. But so that's sort of like the first downside of the scope so far. The rest of it doesn't look too bad. But yeah, I'm going to get it sighted in now for 50 yards. I've got a cardboard box up there with a aluminium bit of tape on there, and it'll stand out really well looking through the scope. So, like I say, I'm going to put it on paper now. I will be going through the menu system a little bit later on. I will be taking it out into the field after the rabbit, so there'll be some action on that. And at the end of it, I shall give you guys my thoughts and opinions on what I think about the scope. It's currently on my CZ457 22LR because, like I say, it's my sort of go-to rifle at the moment when it comes to rabbit shooting. But very much looking forward to trying out. So, enough waffling from me. I'm going to get it on paper and see how it goes. Right, so I've just put a shot down at the target and it has hit the cardboard box. It's literally right on the right hand side of it. So the windage needs to come to the left and it needs to go up about 3 inches or so, something like that. So I'm going to make the adjustments in a scope and see if we can get it a little bit closer to the centre. Well, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. That was the first shot, so straight out the box onto the rifle. That was the first point of impact. I used the freeze frame option, fired a second shot, and it went there. Unbelievable. Very, very impressed. So I will put a few more shots down at the target, but at the end of the day, if they're going to be grouping around that, you can't ask for any better, really. So I've just put another 5 rounds down at the target. Now, after the initial adjustment, which was absolutely spot on, sending another 4 or 5 rounds down just goes to show you do need to check. Do not take that one as gospel. So, like I say, they've all grouped nicely there, which means that I am going to have to fine tune it and just bring it across and up a little bit to that point there. Because if I'd have just left it at that and not bothered sending any more rounds down to the target, shooting that low, you know, you're going to end up wounding an animal, and it's just, that's not worth it. That's not worth the risk. So it always pays to, you know, send a few more down after you've done the initial zeroing and fine tune it just after that. But no, they're grouping quite nice. So I'm shooting off a bipod. I forgot the rear bag today actually, so I'm very happy with that. I just need to correct it so it comes up more central now. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick overview of the outside of the scope. Starting at the front, we've got the laser rangefinder. To operate this, very simple. You've got a little rubber button at the back. Push and hold it for about a second and it'll bring up a continuous ranging mode. So obviously when you're moving a scope round, it's just going to continuously ping everything that the crosshair is over. If you don't want it on that setting, push and hold it again for about another second and it'll go into single mode. Now, that is literally, you see a target, you push a button and it'll just take one ping at the target, tell you how far away it is. If you see another one a little bit further along, you can do the same again. So that's pretty much what the single mode does. It brings up like a little blue box in the crosshair. So that is your range finding target. It does have the reading in the right hand side of the scope. Now that's in white. I don't know if you guys are going to see it actually on this video, because even using it, I mean admittedly it's during the day, but whether it's going to be better at night, but if you've got certain backgrounds you do lose the reading a little bit. It's kind of hard to see, so hopefully at night it's going to be a lot better, but you may or may not see that when I show you that bit in a moment. So when you want to shut the rangefinder down, just push it again for another second and it'll go off the single mode and it'll turn the rangefinder off. The turret on the top, a quick press will give you a quick fire menu system. Push and hold it, it goes into the main menu system, and you get lots of little icons at the top, and you simply rotate it round to whichever one it is that you want. So I'll show you that in a moment. When you finish with the main menu system, push and hold it and it will come out of that. If you go onto the main menu system and you don't do anything for about 5 seconds, it comes out the main menu system and goes straight back to what you're seeing through the scope. When it comes to focusing, there's two options of doing this. Now you can either push the button on this left hand toggle. If you push it quickly, it jumps from base mag very quickly up to maximum zoom. If you don't want to do it that way, you simply rotate this toggle forwards and it goes from base mag to maximum, and then rotates it back the other way and it brings it back down slowly. So it's nice that they've thought about that, and you can have it whichever way that you want. You've got two buttons on the top. Basically the forward button is for taking a picture, or press it for about a second, starts recording, then press it again when you want to stop. The rear button is the power button. Now push and hold it for a couple of seconds, it'll fire up the unit and it's ready to use within about 8 seconds. If you hold it down for about a second, then let go of the button, it puts into standby mode. Or if you push and hold it, it'll shut the unit down within about 3 seconds. While the scope's up and running, if you give the power button a quick press, it'll refresh the screen. So yeah, it's very good. On the right hand side of the scope is literally just a flip up cover where you can put the Type-C USB in to download all the info, and another little port to charge the internal battery as well. The toggle on the right hand side, simply unscrew it and you can add an additional battery into the side of that for extra runtime. So that's pretty much the features of the outside of the scope. I'll just quickly show you guys the menu system, and then I'm going to be going out into the field and hopefully knock over a few bunnies. Right, so I'm just going to show you now the zeroing feature on the scope. So what I'm going to do is we've got two buttons on the top, one which is a power button, the other one which is video record or take a picture. So literally push and hold the video record button, that starts the unit recording. Now with the top turret, push and hold it for about 2 seconds and it brings up a main menu. You then use the same toggle to move it left and right to what feature it is that you want. So I want zeroing settings, and then push the toggle. Now it shows in the scope 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards and 500 yards. So I'm not going to go on to the 50 yard one because that's the one that I've already done. So I'm going to go on to 100, select that, and then it comes up with a little box in the bottom right hand corner that says freeze off. So I select that. That gives me the ability to turn the freeze frame on and off. So I'm just going to select it to on by rotating the top turret. Then I push the top turret again and scroll down. That gives me my X adjustment. So I push it again. I can then move it left and right, and you can see there's a cross in the middle where I've frozen the actual image, and then the crosshair itself, the main crosshair, I'm moving the windage side, so I'm going left and right. So I'll just put it on the edge of the box there. When I'm happy, I'll push it again, the top turret again, and then scroll down once to the Y setting. Now that's the elevation. So when you're on that, push the top turret and that moves the crosshair up or down to wherever you want to go. So when I've selected where I want it to be, you push the top turret again and then scroll it round, and you've got cancel and confirm. Now you can either cancel what you've just set, or if you're happy with it, scroll it round to confirm, push the top turret, and then it takes you back to your 50, 100, 200, 300, 500 yard, whichever one it is that you want to do. If you leave it for about 5 seconds, that main screen disappears and it goes back to the main picture of the scope, so you don't have to worry about coming out of all the options. So that's quite a nice little feature. So that's pretty much how you use the one-shot zero. Ever so simple, very, very easy to use. So obviously I'm not going to be using that profile because it was just a demonstration. I'm happy with the 50 yard one, but that is how you zero this scope. So that's the zeroing all taken care of. The last part now is basically to put it through its paces. This particular bit of ground that I've come over, there's a few rabbits kicking around on, so hopefully be able to knock 1 or 2 over. I can't remember if I said towards the start of the video, but unfortunately this scope doesn't record sound, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm hoping it's going to record all the ranges that I'll be shooting at with the LRF, but like I say, there's going to be no sound with any of the footage that I get. But once I've been out and had a wander around, I'll be giving you guys my final thoughts on what I think about the scope. So let's get suited and booted and go and have a wander. That turned out to be quite a productive evening, and as you could see at the start there's plenty of rabbits out and about, so I shall be doing a few more of my own videos, going over there and hopefully thinning a few more out, and Clint will be out and about with us as well. So just before I get on to the scope itself, I just wanted to say that that night that I had a wander around, it was a very warm evening. It really was. The humidity was quite high, so, and obviously that does affect the performance of a thermal. But I think all things considered, considering the conditions, I thought it performed really well, especially when I got onto like the actual rabbit shooting side of things. So the things that I like about it, like I said at the start, the fact that it looks like a traditional scope, which is great. The LRF had no problems with at all, and one of the things with the LRF that I really do like is the fact that when you're activating it, and that little blue box right in the middle of the crosshair where you're going to be aiming, perfect, absolutely perfect. Not like some of the other manufacturers where you've got like a little white box and it's to one side of the crosshair and you've got to move it across and then back again. They've actually done it so you look exactly, or the LRF is where you're looking, right in the middle. Absolutely perfect, so I hope they never change that. The menu system I found very, very simple to use. The freeze frame option when it comes to zero in the scope, no problems at all, as you saw earlier. I like the fact that when you're using the LRF, if you put it into standby mode and you're walking round and you click the scope back into life again, if you've got the LRF activated on continuous mode like what I had, it stays on there. You don't have to push a button to start it up again, it keeps it all there. So yeah, that's another great feature. Very simple button layout on the top, literally two for what you want when you're out and about in the field, to stop and start recording or shutting the scope down to standby mode or turning it off. Very, very simple. I like the zoom function where you can, like I said earlier, you can just push it to jump up quickly through the zooms, or if you want to go up in increments, just rotate it forwards and backwards. That's great. So yeah, I mean, I was impressed with the way it performed out in the field. I really was. On to the things that I dislike about it. Like I said at the start, that front objective ring is just too stiff. It is way too stiff. They really do need to sort that one out. Even with a fishing coaster on there, you're going to notice how tight it is still to turn. It's unfortunate that it doesn't record sound. Yes, I could have put additional shots onto each of the rabbits that I was doing, but the fact that it's a review, why bother doing it? Show you exactly how the scope performs. That's the whole point of it. So if they are going to sort it out with a microphone on there, great. When it comes to zero in it, like I say, the menu system and everything and the one-shot zero is absolutely fine. But that table that's in there, where it goes from 50, 100, 200, 300, 500, I couldn't see anything else where I could manually put a range in to where I was going to use it. So if that is the case, people with like sub 12 air rifles, you're not going to be shooting out to sort of 50 yards plus. You're going to want something, if you're going to be out and about around the farmyards ratting or rabbiting out to 30 yards or so, this scope's not going to be any good for you, and it is a shame really. So like I say, I am going to double check through the settings, but I'm sure there is nothing in there where you can manually add a range if you're going to be shooting at say 20, 25 yards or a bit closer, or maybe a little bit further. 50 yards looks to be the lowest that you can actually set it to, which that's not going to be any good to you guys. Other than that, there isn't really a great deal that I dislike about it. So just those few little points really. This scope I think is around £1,600. I am going to contact Guide to let them know exactly all the faults that I have found with it. I am going to find out if there are any promo codes, and then I shall add that into the description as soon as I can, and let you know if they're going to be sorting out any of the issues that I find. I know they are launching a new scope in September, so that one's coming out on the market very, very soon. So whether they already know about the faults, I don't know, and perhaps they've already addressed them. I'm going to have to find out and let you guys know. But overall, it was a nice scope to use, but like I say, just a few little niggles that I'd like to see added to perhaps newer models. But just having a wander around, like I say, with that LRF and the box in the middle, right in the middle of the crosshair, absolutely spot on. The picture-in-picture mode is good. Yes, it is slightly offset, but I tend not to use a picture-in-picture when I'm rabbit shooting anyway, because my distances are anywhere sort of 35 yards out to about sort of 70 yards, so I don't really need to use the picture-in-picture. But yeah, the colour palettes were good. The only thing I did notice with the Black Hot, if you're using the rangefinder, where the target is black and the background is white, sometimes it was a bit of a struggle just to see the numbers of what the range was. Clicking around to the other colour palettes, it stood out really, really well, but obviously with the white background and the writings in white, it did disappear a little bit. But you know, you can't have it all, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. The scope itself, I am impressed with it. I shall be doing another video and everything with it in the near future. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments below, and any questions I'll answer them as best I can. So like I say, I'll get hold of the Guide send them an email, find out what's going on, and any updates I shall let you know. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. And a massive thank you to Guide for sending this out for me to do a review on.